If masks are brought back, then I don't want to see them go through that another year.
A mask order is issued for Tooele County schools depending on COVID case numbers, and tonight some are pushing back.
There's not a place that the masks show any sign of working.
How the county is responding as a group of parents challenges the decision.
Plus, another virus is on the rise in Utah tonight, where West Nile is being found in record number and why one group is being impacted more than any other.
We had clear sky here across the state today, but it was hazy. Coming up, where we have the chance for record temperatures tomorrow and when we're going to have our next cool down.
Don't think about you until it's the worst day of their life and they need a hero. And every damn time you're the hero.
Back in July, a devastating 22-vehicle pileup resulted in the deaths of 8 people in Millard County. We'll show you how the first responders that showed up to that very chaotic scene were recognized tonight.
We start with breaking news happening right now near the Pacific resort city of Acapulco, Mexico. A 7.0 earthquake has been recorded near the coast. Now, according to the Associated Press, buildings in Mexico City, that's nearly 200 miles away, were seen swaying. There are no immediate reports of damage or injuries from the quake zone, though power is down in some neighborhoods. We will continue to follow this and bring you the developments.
A massive pileup on I-15 in July claimed 8 lives, including 4 children. You remember the dust storm in the Millard County area. 22 vehicles, including semi-trucks, were involved and at least 10 people were injured.
It was a tragedy. Fox 13's Brian Schnee was in Fillmore tonight, right at the Utah Territorial State House, for a special ceremony to honor those who responded to the gruesome scene.
It's been more than a month since nearly 24 vehicles were involved in a pileup on I-15 in Millard County, an auto accident that took the lives of 8 people. The ceremony held outside of the Utah Territorial State House in Fillmore Tuesday night honored and recognized first responders who answered the call that day. It's one of the worst auto-related accidents in Utah history. July 25th, between Kanash and Meadow on I-15. A sandstorm created hazardous driving conditions and prompted a massive pileup of vehicles. First responders on scene were praised for their heroic efforts amid the chaos that day.
And July 25th proved that very test. We're as good as anywhere. I am so honored to be considered among you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
103 first responders, from tow truck companies to dispatchers to firefighters, deputies, were all honored for their courage, composure, and professionalism. Kim Rowell responded as an EMT on the second ambulance out from Millard County.
Just how much we're grateful for the people that volunteer and take time out of their day from their jobs, their families, to come help other people in need.
The details of the day are still vivid.
It was just lots of trauma, lots of death, lots of people everywhere, and I don't know, it's kind of hard to talk about because just a lot of emotions tied into it.
Emotional after hearing the stories from those on scene that day, Governor Spencer Cox called the group of first responders heroes for not just the work they did on that very grim day, but each day since.
I pray that we will never need you again, and I know that we will. 5 minutes from now, somewhere in this state, someone wearing your badge or your uniform or your calling will be called upon, and you'll respond.
5 of the 8 people that lost their lives in that accident back in late July all belonged to one family. I spoke briefly with Mason Sawyer, who lost his wife, his 2 children, his nephew, and his own brother in that crash. He told me he's still very thankful for all the first responders that were called into action that day. In Fillmore, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
As Brian just mentioned, the Sawyer family mourned many lives due to this crash. 30-year-old Courtney Sawyer from St. George, her children, 6-year-old Regan Sawyer and 2-year-old Frankie Sawyer, her brother-in-law, 37-year-old Ray Sawyer from Lehigh, and his son, 12-year-old Ryder Sawyer. 51-year-old Robert Lorenzon, driver, and 47-year-old Marcella Lorenzon from Salt Lake City were in another vehicle. They both died. And the 8th person killed was a passenger in another vehicle, 15-year-old Cameron Valentine from Yuma, Arizona.
A Utah Marine was among those injured during the suicide bombing that killed 13 U.S. service members at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan on August 26th. The family of Corporal Wyatt J. Wilson of Carbon County says he was severely wounded in the blast, suffering a collapsed lung, broken jaw, and multiple shrapnel wounds. Wilson was flown to Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Maryland, where he underwent surgery and is scheduled for more. Corporal Wilson's neighbors and friends have created a GoFundMe page to help support him, his wife, and their 2-year-old daughter. We have a link at fox13now.com. It continues to be a major issue, and now another heated debate on masks in schools. Tonight, that discussion is in Tooele County.
Fox 13's John Franke is at the county council meeting where they're now considering action on a public health order. John.
Well, guys, it is shaping up to be a long night here at the county council headquarters. This discussion about that mask health order has been going on now for more than an hour. We've heard from parents on both sides, a very emotional issue. But first, let's go over what exactly is in this Tooele County health order. It would trigger a mask mandate in an individual school if a certain threshold is met. And there are two separate thresholds. First, for larger schools, if 2% of a student body tests positive for COVID in a 14-day period, then face coverings would be required indoors for all students at that school for 30 days. For schools with less than 1,500 students, the health order triggers when 30 students test positive for the virus in that school. Now, the mask would only be required, again, in those schools that are impacted. So this is not a blanket county-wide mandate. Now, here are some comments first from two parents on both sides of the issue, and then we'll hear from the county health director.
I won't force my child to wear it. I pay taxes. My child goes to a public school. Therefore, I should have right and say in what my child is forced to do.
The word freedom is thrown around a lot, and I would like my child to be able to have the freedom to go to school without a deadly virus affecting her.
Recognize that that age group is not at high risk for mortality, and that's fortunate. We're very glad for that. But they do, as they catch the COVID in school, there's a much higher rate that they will spread it within the community, primarily within their homes.
And again, the county health director emphasized that he hopes no schools within Tooele County hit that trigger that would start this mask mandate. But he mentioned that Tooele High School right now has 21 cases inside their building. So again, that discussion still going on. A vote has not yet taken place here tonight. We, of course, will update you as soon as it does, both on air and online. Reporting live in Tooele tonight, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
John, thank you. A small corner of Park City was soaked today, but there wasn't a raindrop in sight. A major water line on Boot Hill broke at about 1 this afternoon while crews were working to replace the pipe. The leak caused major flooding in the Snow Creek Plaza parking lot. The plaza is still open, and at last check, crews were diverting the water away from businesses.
Big mess to clean up in the heat and in the smoky conditions once again, Allison.
Oh my goodness, we have smoke for almost all of Utah right now, at least moderate smoke for almost all of Utah, and some thicker smoke about Salt Lake City and north this evening. Now, temperatures are still really hot across southern Utah. It's pretty comfortable here for Salt Lake and Provo, about 70 to 80 degrees. Same thing for Ogden and Brigham City and up through Logan. But St. George holding on to that heat, currently at 96 degrees as we're getting ready for bed at 9:10. Now, we do have mostly clear sky here across the state. Now, we're going to end up with a chance for some showers later in the 7-day forecast. But when you wake up tomorrow morning here in Salt Lake City, temperatures in the low 60s at 5 a.m. By 7 o'clock, still low 60s, 9 a.m. around 70 degrees. I am tracking a lot of heat the next few days, record temperatures close to 110 in some places. So we'll have some heat warnings in place through tomorrow night. I'll let you know where and when we're going to see a cool down coming up.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
A dangerous virus, this one spread by bug bites. Why an uptick in West Nile infections in animals is a bad sign for all of us.
More kids are getting sick as the school year continues to roll on. But it's not with COVID-19. What you need to know about the illnesses going around to keep your children safe.
The Food and Drug Administration is about to make a big decision that'll affect millions of e-cigarette companies. How it'll affect what local vape shops sell inside their stores. Coming up.
The quarterbacks will play a big role in the rivalry game. Coming up, we'll hear from Utah's Charlie Brewer and BYU's Jaron Hall.
A warning from health officials tonight about a rise in West Nile virus cases. The Utah Department of Health is reporting the highest number of positive mosquito pools ever seen in the state.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecher is live at the Riverton fishing pond tonight with how the concern isn't just with human cases. Lauren.
Yeah, Kelly and Bob. So obviously there is a concern for people who get bitten by mosquitoes possibly being infected, but the equine community is paying attention closely to those numbers this season because veterinarians say cases can be pretty bad if horses get West Nile virus.
Or polyglycan's good.
This is the time of year Dr. Lyle Barber is making sure his clients
You're gonna like that.
aren't showing any telltale signs
Staggering, stumbling, inability to rise.
of a disease that can turn fatal from a simple mosquito bite.
Horses that show clinical signs, that have been diagnosed and have clinical signs, a third of those horses aren't going to make it, even with treatment.
Which is why it's concerning 8 horses have tested positive in the state for West Nile virus this season.
This year is a little bit different. We have seen some more cases.
Not just a worry for the horse community.
Because that means that there are a high number of mosquitoes in this vicinity who are infected with West Nile virus.
It's a sign of how widespread West Nile infection is in the human community, says the Salt Lake County Health Department.
This year for West Nile virus, we've seen an extraordinarily high number of positive mosquito pools in Salt Lake County and throughout the state.
According to Utah Department of Health numbers, Salt Lake County has seen 192 mosquito pools test positive for West Nile virus. Davis County has seen 281. Human cases remain at 6 across Utah, with 5 of them in Salt Lake County, though it's important to note.
Our other 4 of the 5 cases are what we call neuroinvasive, which means that the virus has entered and interfered with brain activity. And those are very serious situations.
While humans need an EPA-registered mosquito repellent for protection, for horses,
Vaccination is extremely crucial in the prevention of this disease.
a shot at staying healthy and free from West Nile virus. The Salt Lake County Health Department says those people who have those neuroinvasive cases, they should make a full recovery, which is good news for them. Now, most people infected with West Nile virus actually don't have any symptoms, but a lot of people can develop some fever and more of those flu-like symptoms from West Nile virus. Live in Riverton, Lauren Steinbrecher, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Lauren, thank you. There was a big spike in COVID-19 cases in Utah over the holiday weekend. Since Friday, more than 4,600 Utahns have tested positive. 27 people have died and more than 480 people are hospitalized with the virus.
As for vaccines, more than 15,000 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in Utah since Friday. More than 8,000 additional Utahns are now considered fully vaccinated. A handful of other viruses other than COVID-19 are causing problems right now in Utah.
The problem is the symptoms are causing confusion, even for the doctors. Fox 13's Haley Higgins shows us what's going on.
Unseasonable respiratory viruses are making Utahns miserable right now, and many of the symptoms are the same: cough, fever, headache, the works.
That we have now several things circulating, which makes it really hard to figure out which one you've got and what to do with that information.
Dr. Per Jesslin oversees germwatch.org. It's a disease monitoring site from Intermountain Health. At the top of the list right now, the common cold, hand, foot, and mouth disease, and RSV among children.
We're seeing sort of moderate to high levels of RSV that we would normally be seeing, heading into late December, early January.
RSV is hitting several months early, and it's hitting hard. Dr. Jesslin says Primary Children's is busier than normal, treating severe cases of infection in the lungs and breathing passages, symptoms that often mirror COVID-19. With viruses carrying the potential to cause severe complications, doctors urge parents to pay attention, test for COVID, and talk with their doctor.
You can kind of try to sort them out, but it's really hard, even for us expert clinicians, to tell which virus you're carrying. And so think about getting tested, especially if you're in that school age group and there's, implications to bringing that back and spreading it in a school environment.
While the viruses are different, prevention is the same. Doctors say get vaccinated if eligible, wear a mask indoors, and wash hands often. In Salt Lake City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Doctors suggest parents should know what to look for. To see what's going around your community, go to fox13now.com.
Here we are, post-Labor Day. I always think in my mind, like, oh, it's going to be cool. I can pull out the fall clothing, and that's not the case.
Yes, mentally we're maybe getting close to fall. We're in the meteorological fall, but a few more weeks. September 22nd is when the rest of us will catch up. Kids have been, though, probably summer was over for them once school started, but we're looking at quite a bit of smoke here across the state. So even with the hot temperatures, we are still dealing with concerns for what we're breathing. So Logan, Perry, Ogden, Layton this evening just updated this information showing you the air quality is at that orange level, unhealthy for sensitive groups. For Salt Lake, Midvale, out towards West Valley, we're still at that orange level for air quality. On the east side of Salt Lake, so Sandy up towards Cottonwood Heights, Holiday, up through the foothill areas, that's where we're seeing a little bit of moderate air mixed in, but generally speaking, orange air all the way down into Provo, Spanish Fork, and Payson. And then for southern Utah, this is what's changed since earlier this evening. Air quality even for Washington County is now coming in at that orange level with a little bit of moderate air mixed in, but high pressure has been the main story. We're still dominating the forecast with this, and so we're getting this clockwise motion of this upper level flow, and it's transporting that smoke up into Idaho and then back down through Utah on that eastern side of the low, which is pretty incredible that we're seeing that. Now temperatures here in Salt Lake City, 78 degrees. It feels really nice right now. So if you're looking for fall temperatures, our overnight temps are going to be pretty comfortable for the nice sweater that you're itching to wear. Now temperatures here across the state right now as we're getting ready for bed, about 70 to 80 across the board for Provo, Salt Lake, Ogden, Logan. But St. George still holding on close to 100 degrees at 96 right now. And it's almost 10 o'clock at night. Now we have mostly clear sky from Ogden down through Utah County. Might see a few sprinkles near the Idaho border, Garden City down through Sardine, but nothing that's going to cause any problems. We really are just tracking a better chance for that rain to be arriving later in the 7-day forecast. But the top headlines up into Wyoming and over into Colorado, air quality warnings from that wildfire smoke. And then for southwestern Utah, we have excessive heat warnings in place until tomorrow at 9 p.m. St. George, the rest of tonight, temperatures will be into the 90s for a few more hours, and then you'll be back into the 80s once you get to about midnight. But Salt Lake City today, 93 was our high. Today's record 99, but we've got a better chance to beat some records. But this is at the airport. Downtown Salt Lake did tie a record high today for 90 degrees. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, low 60s here in Salt Lake, into the 70s by 10 a.m. and by tomorrow afternoon, St. George, you're close to 105 to 110 through Thursday. A little bit cooler for this weekend, around 100 degrees. And for Salt Lake City, temperatures mid 90s for Wednesday, upper 90s for Thursday, low 90s for Friday, cooler this weekend. Coming up later in the hour, let's go ahead and talk about a chance for some rain in that 7-day forecast.
Still to come, Salt Lake City's mayor and police chief are raising awareness about their crackdown on crime. The actions they're now taking to keep people safe on the street. New at 9, Cedar Break's National Monument is getting a makeover. After an increase in tourism over the years, Cedar Breaks is building a brand new visitor center. The previous building was just a 650-square-foot log cabin built in the 1930s. The new construction will retain the old historic cabin and also provide a new area for visitors to learn about the National Monument's history.
We'll have an outdoor covered space so that when we get those monsoons during the summer, we can still have programs and still do ranger activities. And the other great thing about that space is there'll be an outdoor fireplace, so we'll be able to do outdoor campfire programs during the summer as well.
Well, that sounds like fun. Governor Spencer Cox also made an appearance at the National Monument as one of the featured speakers this afternoon. The area where this new visitor center is being built, Point Supreme Overlook. It will remain closed through the 2022 season due to construction.
Some 5th grade students from Payson got to experience the legislative process firsthand today. Children from Spring Lake Elementary School were invited to the state capitol where they voted on fun bills, such as whether ice cream should be made the state dessert. I think it should. They also considered whether kids should need adult permission for social media accounts.
You have to vote on it, and then it goes to for other people to vote on it, and then it comes back to you if it has to, and then it can go back out, and it can keep going back and forth until people can agree on a solution.
Sounds like Kendall Chambers has this whole process down. Some students say the process was complicated. Despite that, they say it was fun and that the Capitol building was amazing.
Son of a...
Salt Lake police released the identity and charges for a man who was disorderly on a flight to Salt Lake International Airport. We'll have an update from them straight ahead.
The Food and Drug Administration is about to reach a big decision about how vape shops can operate. We spoke with one owner about how this will affect his bottom line.
Farmers are struggling all around the West, but a project in Arizona shows a ray of hope for a future of farming in semi-arid regions like ours. That's coming up.
The Utes moved up in the college football rankings, plus we'll hear from the quarterbacks heading into the rivalry game.
Welcome back, everyone. Salt Lake police have released the identity of this man who became unruly on an American Airlines flight from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City yesterday.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph reports on that passenger and what flight attendants say about all the recent disturbances on airplanes.
The situation is completely out of control.
You are being power hungry.
By now, you have probably seen this video.
Son of a...
An unruly passenger on an American Airlines flight from LAX to Salt Lake City, at times berating and threatening flight attendants, shouting obscenities, and even snarling at times as the flight was in the air.
Airline staff had reported that the male, later identified as Timothy Armstrong, as being combative on the flight.
Salt Lake City police confirmed 61-year-old Nevada resident Timothy Armstrong's identity and that they had charged him with public intoxication and disorderly conduct for his actions.
Once the flight landed safely, officers boarded the plane and took Mr. Armstrong into custody.
Really?
Paramedics transported Mr. Armstrong to an area hospital.
We are seeing, as you know, an increased level of hostility in this industry like we've never seen before on the aircraft.
Paul Hartshorn Jr. is with the Association of Professional Flight Attendants, the union that represents the 25,000 American Airlines flight attendants.
Our flight attendants are being verbally abused every day, and many times those are turning into, as you can see, perhaps physical attacks.
To illustrate the problem, he gave Fox 13 the number of safety complaints from flight attendants they represent since July.
We've received over 16,000 safety reports from our flight attendants, and 65% of those have something to do with some sort of passenger misconduct.
Why so many incidents are happening around the country is unclear, but what is clear is these incidents are dealt with seriously.
Anyone who hurts flight attendants, passengers, anyone on board the aircraft is prosecuted.
What, are you going to kick me off this flight?
Just to make sure that we're creating safe environments for employees, staff members, travelers.
Salt Lake City police say they want to commend the individual who filmed that video, as well as other passengers who came forward, also saying if you were ever in a situation like this, if you see something, say something. At Salt Lake International Airport, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall and Police Chief Mike Brown are cracking down on a recent uptick in crime. They say since the start of this year, they have seen a lot of progress, but gun violence just this past weekend shows they need to do more.
I'm not satisfied. I don't think Chief Brown is satisfied. I can't speak for the City Council, but I don't believe that our City Council is satisfied either.
As the police chief, my #1 priority is to ensure the safety of our community. And our police officers are doing that every day, and for that, I thank them.
Salt Lake Police continue to hire more officers. City leaders hope increasing the numbers will decrease both call response times and the number of violent incidents.
This week, the Food and Drug Administration is set to decide whether or not e-cigarette companies can continue selling their products. Fox 13's April Baker gives us a preview of this decision and what it could mean for local vape shops.
A huge assortment of vaping products sit on shelves at Elite Smoke and Vape Shop in Murray. And it could look a lot different after the FDA makes a decision Thursday on whether e-cigarette companies are, quote, appropriate for the protection of public health. The e-cigarette industry has been under mounting scrutiny in recent years since it has mostly gone unregulated and their product has become popular among teens.
We will take a hit.
Elite owner Ryan De La Huerta speculates what this could mean for his vaping inventory that makes up 70% of his sales.
So we're going to see a wall of e-juice shrink down to probably just a couple of brands.
Back in September of 2020, the FDA requested that e-cig companies submit pre-market tobacco product applications, or PMTAs. Essentially, it requires companies to ask the FDA if their product is safe enough to continue selling in the United States. Just last week, the FDA blocked the sale of more than 55,000 flavored e-cigarette products. It was the first ban of products of that kind since it began requiring makers to submit PMTAs.
A good part of public health strategy because it will probably limit the number of youths who are using e-cigarettes.
While Sean Callahan, a professor of medicine at the University of Utah Health, says this is a step in the right direction, De La Huerta believes this will reinforce the sale of e-cigarettes through other, shadier avenues.
You're already seeing the black market emerge on social media by people selling these, and that's unregulated. And that's where the teens can get a hold of it.
For now, medical professionals and business leaders will have to see what happens as the FDA is slated to make a decision this Thursday, September 9th. April Baker, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Going back to our top story, breaking news from the Tooele County Council. A decision has been made about a controversial health order.
Fox 13's John Franke is live at the county council meeting where a vote has just happened. This is in regards to masks in schools. John, what happened?
Yeah, that vote happened just really minutes ago, and by a razor-thin margin, by a vote of 3-2, the county council here decided to terminate that health order. That means a mask mandate will not be in place in Tooele schools anytime in the next 30 days. One of the council members said that he felt it was the government's burden to prove that masks would slow the spread in the community, and he felt that was not done. Another blamed the legislature for putting the council in this position. He felt that dealing with a health order at the council level here was just stepping out of their lane. He felt in a bad position to be put in to have to make this decision on this county health order. But again, by a 3-2 vote, the county council here has decided to terminate the health order. Of course, join Good Day Utah tomorrow morning for more on this developing story. Reporting live in Tooele tonight, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
John, thank you for the update and the decision. Coming up, could marijuana be bad for some people in the long run? What one new study is revealing.
The United Kingdom is raising taxes to cover the rising cost of elder care. Brits must contribute an extra 1.25% of their income to the UK's version of Social Security. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the move is responsible and fair. US officials warn similar action may be necessary here. If nothing changes, federal officials say Social Security will run out of money in 12 years.
An editorial in hundreds of medical journals talks about links between the climate crisis and a wide range of adverse health effects over 2 decades. It says the science is undeniable, and an increase of 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average and the continued loss of biodiversity will cause catastrophic as well as irreversible harm to human health. Now, the editorial says not enough is being done and that we can't wait to do something.
El Salvador is adopting Bitcoin as a legal currency. The Central American nation ran into problems today when its Bitcoin wallet app crashed. Leaders blame the issue on overwhelming demand. This move was not without controversy. There have been large protests, and social organizations want the government to repeal the law because of Bitcoin's volatility.
A new study suggests younger adults who use cannabis are more likely to have a heart attack. Researchers looked at CDC data on U.S. adults 18 to 44 years old. 17% reported using cannabis in the last 30 days. 1.3% of them later had a heart attack compared to 0.8% of non-users. The authors say the findings are a reminder that marijuana may have long and short-term health impacts.
As the drought continues, farmers are looking to produce crops that need less water. We'll take an in-depth look at what some farmers are doing to our south and how Utahns can learn from it.
Rivalry week continues. How important will the quarterbacks be when BYU and Utah play this Saturday? Coming up in sports, we'll hear from Charlie Brewer and Jalen Hall on their play in week 1 and in the rivalry game to come.
In national news, President Joe Biden toured more damage left behind by Hurricane Ida in the Northeast. The president is using his trips to disaster zones to call on Congress to pass funding for his infrastructure plan. The House of Representatives is now on recess for another 2 weeks. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said she wants both bills passed by the end of the month.
Questions continue to grow about the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan. During a visit to Qatar today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken revealed about 100 Americans are still stuck in Afghanistan. The U.S. is relying on the Taliban to make sure the Americans can get out. Secretary Blinken is scheduled to testify before a House committee next Monday about what happened in the Middle East.
Well, we know something about this. In the drought-stricken Southwest, farmers are looking to alternative crops that use less water.
Going in depth tonight, Fox 13's Max Roth takes a look at how farmers are adapting to extreme drought.
Utah farmers are struggling, and farmers in Arizona are about a year ahead in their struggle. So how they are working to adapt can help us understand how future farming could survive in the Southwest.
We've had drought cycles, but this is the first time we've ever seen a mega drought where it's year after year.
Nancy Kaywood won't have an alfalfa crop this year.
You can hear this crunching. It's just starting to dry up.
This is Casa Grande between Phoenix and Tucson, Arizona. Kaywood Farms doesn't have access to the water it used to. Arizona, Nevada, and California comprise the lower Colorado River Basin. They rely on Lake Mead, now at its lowest level since it filled in the 1930s.
It means that next year, the farmers in this area will see 2/3 of their surface water go away. It's going to be this way for a long time, and it requires us to adapt and come up with new solutions. Crop switching, looking at lower water use crops like Waiuli, is one of the solutions we need to be looking at in a drier future to allow communities to sustain themselves.
Waiuli is a good example of the kind of alternative crop that could transform agriculture in the Southwest.
The rubber is all contained in the bark area of the plant.
The Bridgestone Group is researching technology to use Waiuli rubber in tires and other products.
And when combined with other materials, the rubber from this 10-acre field would produce over 500 tires.
Waiuli is native to areas of Arizona, Texas, and Mexico. Related crops exist in southwestern Utah.
So like I mentioned, we also work with participating dryland farmers throughout San Juan, Montezuma, and Dolores counties.
In southeastern Utah, some farmers have teamed with Colorado State University, testing approaches to dryland farming on the Colorado Plateau.
kind of water we're doing right now when we're flooding, we have to do that about every 2 weeks for the corn and the cotton. The Waiuli, that's about once a month. Without things like Waiuli that will use less water, the prospects of future generations being able to do this is not great in Arizona, to be completely honest with you.
Our partners at the Water Desk provide good information about the West adapting to lowering levels of the Colorado and its tributaries. We'll link you to them from fox13now.com. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
So we've got the drought going. We got the smoke going.
The
we got
heat
the heat
still.
going.
I know. We are in the thick of it still, and we will continue to be in the thick of it for a few more days. So surface smoke tomorrow morning when you wake up, it's not magically going to be better. We're still going to have quite a bit of smoke, especially across eastern Utah, Vernal, down through Blanding, and then Salt Lake, about I-80 and north, where we're going to have our thickest smoke tomorrow morning. Then we're going to start to see an improvement by Thursday morning for far southwestern Utah, but the rest of us still dealing with that haze the next few days. So for Wednesday and Thursday here in Salt Lake County, mandatory action, and that air quality forecast is for that orange level, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups. And we have mostly clear sky this evening. So temperatures are going to be comfortable first thing tomorrow morning. We're going to have the clear skies, so it'll be a cool evening for you. But North Salt Lake down through Kearns into South Jordan, Harriman, Bluffdale, Sandy, Draper, down into Utah County. Things are going to look really nice tomorrow morning. But we do have an excessive heat warning still in place. This started at noon today. This includes Washington County for the St. George area up through Hurricane, Springdale, and into Zion National Park. That's going to go until 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Overnight temperatures first thing tomorrow morning will be about 55 for Provo and Lehigh, 62 for Salt Lake, 60 in Ogden, low 60s for Tooele. And then by tomorrow afternoon, our temperatures are going to be hot yet again. So this is likely going to be our hottest heat wave left of the year. So we're probably going to have some warm days here or there, but nothing like what we're going to see for the several days this week for Labor Day week. So tomorrow afternoon, it'll be about 90 to 95 for Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo, low 90s for Logan, St. George close to 105. By the next couple of days, we're going to have those temperatures still really hot, and then heading into this upcoming weekend, we're going to have a chance for a few showers and thunderstorms to develop. So Thursday night, we're going to keep most of these showers into Nevada, but the chance that we even see some stronger isolated thunderstorms moving through southwestern Utah Thursday night, I'm not going to rule that out. But we head into Friday night into early Saturday, we're going to have a better chance for a few more showers to develop here across the region. Still coming to, want to come to a better consensus between the different forecast models, a better agreement. So still some unsettled details there. So we'll be tracking that, and as we hone in on those specifics, I'll of course bring them to you. But St. George, your main detail the next few days will be a lot of heat, so close to 105 to maybe even 110 for Wednesday, Thursday. We've got more record temperatures possible for the next few days, and then a little bit cooler for this weekend, but still 100 degrees for the rest of the 7-day forecast Friday into next week. It's still obviously very hot. I struggle to say a cool down, but we do have temperatures in northern Utah that'll be more noticeably cooler Friday into Saturday, about a 10-degree difference. Overnight temps will go from close to 70 degrees Friday morning to about 10 degrees cooler than that for this weekend for early morning temps. So if you're making fun plans like pickleball or golfing this weekend, no, it'll be very comfy all day long, even afternoons. And then we'll end up with some of that patchy smoke the next few days. So check the air quality before heading out for any rigorous outdoor activities.
Utah's ranked in both college football polls going into Saturday's rivalry game against BYU. The Utes moved up 3 spots to 21st in the Associated Press top 25, and they're 18th in the coaches poll after not being ranked last week. 5 Pac-12 teams are in the top 25. It's about a tough week overall for the league with Oregon, USC, UCLA, and Arizona State along with the Utes. BYU among those receiving votes in both polls, 38th in the AP, 31st in the coaches poll. Quarterbacks play a big role on Saturday. Charlie Brewer threw for 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception on a Hail Mary, so he played well in the Utes season opener.
I thought it was good. It was good to finally get a game, in as a Utah U. Felt great, you know, running out and being a part of the team, so it was an overall good experience.
Charlie did everything that you needed to do. He did it with, you know, we had 3 drops, we had a couple blown assignments on the offensive line, and there wasn't a single play where you were, you know, frustrated with Charlie. Really, it was an amazing performance.
This will be Brewer's first experience playing in the rivalry game. He's from Texas, so it's new to him, but he's understanding the importance of this Utah-BYU football game.
I learned it's a, you know, a really big game. People have, you know, just said how great of an atmosphere, you know, how much it means to the people up here. You know, lots on the line, so I'm learning every day the significance of it, and you know, I think I'll know it pretty well by game time. I'm excited to, you know, get to playing it.
BYU quarterback Jaron Hall grew up in Spanish Fork. His dad played at BYU, so he knows all about this rivalry. Even took a few snaps seen here in the 2019 game.
Yeah, it was intense. It's a rivalry game, you know, one of the biggest rivals in the country of college football. So it was fun to be out there. It's been a while, obviously, so it'll be a little different being behind the center every play, you know, versus playing in various positions, you know, like I did in 2019. So, but it'll be a football game. You know, we just got to be prepared and ready to go execute.
Yeah, Hall played in BYU season opener, played well for the Cougars, throwing for nearly 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he knows BYU's offense will need to play better to beat the Utes.
We absolutely can improve. You know, we are by no means have we made it. I don't think most teams make it the first week. I think there's always improvement. We've been able to watch the film already individually, and we'll watch it today as a team for a couple minutes before we start game planning on Utah. But I think we definitely have some things we can improve on this next week, and I think we'll make those strides.
I'm excited for the game. I think it's going to be another good one. We'll see how it all works out.
They always are. I mean, look back at the history of that matchup.
There's been so many close calls, even in this 9-game winning streak.
Yeah.
The Cougars could have won a handful of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion put into that game.
Is.
On the field and off the field.
Go Cougars.
We'll be right back. Well, the actor famous for playing Luke Skywalker is going viral. Mark Hamill tweeted just his name after he was challenged to do so by a fan. Well, he got so many likes it worked 500,000 likes.
Holy
on just
moly.
his name. Lots of retweets, too.
Isn't that something?
Power of social media.
Quick Cast is next.